Hello, Junior Red Hat admins. This lecture is for Tuesday, April 6th, and we're starting chapter 14 this week, which is installing and updating software packages. I got my book up over here on the next screen so I can make sure that I'm telling you the right thing. So, we basically talk about two things, and there's a lot of aspects about both these things. The first one's a little bit shorter. The first one's called RPM, which stands for the Red Hat Package Manager. RPM is also a file extension for install files for Red Hat. You can also install RPM files in Fedora or CentOS as well. Now, I'm not sure if you remember me telling you this, but Red Hat does their stuff differently because they are a paid product, right? For most other Linux distributions, you can just download updates and install software as you prefer, and it just does it, right? So, for example, here I'm logged into my local machine, and if I wanted to update it, I would just say apt update. Put in my root password, and there it kind of goes down through what's called the different package repositories, seeing if anything has to be updated. This works pretty much the same way in CentOS, okay, in Red Hat, except the only difference is the list of packages that you get in Red Hat all come from Red Hat. And in order to get access to those Red Hat packages, you have to have a Red Hat subscription. And that's one of the things that the book talks about, is that you have to basically register your subscription with Red Hat. And this is something that has to be done regularly. So one thing I'd kind of like to point out, another thing that we're going to actually talk about in CentOS here, is that you can actually add repositories to it. You don't have to use just the official ones. So I'm running Mint Linux, so you can see here I've got these two repositories for Mint Linux. Mint is based heavily upon Ubuntu, which also has a company that goes by the name Canonical, which is basically kind of like Red Hat is to CentOS, right? Canonical is kind of like a Red Hat, where it's like if you want a paid support for Ubuntu, you would pay a Canonical. I'm also getting some packages from Microsoft. This would be for Visual Code. You can see I've got Spotify repository here. I think I installed Teams on here one time for one of the some meeting I had to do. Proton VPN is a virtual network, a private virtual network, VPN, virtual private network. And then these other repositories are from Ubuntu. So I'm going to close this. Now you can see I just updated it before I started this lesson, so you can see that all packages are up to date. But here I'm logged into my CentOS box, which is essentially like Red Hat, except it's not Red Hat. You typically only use RPM for installing a package, that like a single package file, right? The first few parts of chapter 14, I'm looking over here at the book, they talk about registering your subscription on a computer with Red Hat. I don't have a Red Hat machine. I can't show you how to register a subscription. I haven't paid for a subscription. There's also certificates that you have to get. Basically, it's files that help decrypt and encrypt the traffic between your computer and Red Hat. So let me pull this over here to the screen that you guys can see. You can see here when you download an RPM package, you can see it when I say file extension, you can see it ends in .rpm. The name of the file, the version, the release, and then the architecture. So this one's for a 64-bit operating system, or a 64-bit. Sometimes, I might say like AARCH for an ARM processor, which would be like for a Raspberry Pi kind of thing. That's not so terribly important, unless you just want to make sure that you got the right version installed. And then over here, you do have the right version for your computer, right? Typically that x86-64, if you have a normal computer, that's what you need. So RPM is the command, and then they actually have a bunch of different switches that you can use with it, and the book kind of goes through those. I don't have any RPM packages to install. Yeah, so RPM is the name of the Red Hat Package Manager. -I is install. V is verbose, and H is human readable. And what this does is it gives you these, basically they're like progress bars. Each of those little hashtags will grow as it's going through the verifying part, as it's going through the preparing part, and then as it goes through the installing part. The main one that I use for Red Hat is Yum. So here's some queries you can run with RPMs. You can see what all's in a package. So the idea of a package is that basically it's going to download, or the package, I'm sorry, may have the files contained within it, or it may have to download some other ones, but the package is supposed to get everything that you need. All the extra little files, any little extra libraries that you need. It used to be back when I first started using Linux, I fell into what was called the package dependency spiral, where I'd get an RPM, it's like, cool, let's install this. They say, oh, well, I'm missing these 3 other dependencies. It's like, okay, well, let's go download those 3 RPM files and install those. Maybe the first one might install, but then the second one said, oh, you need these 3 or 4 other RPMs, so I'd have to go get those. So the idea of the modern day package system is that you only have to say, I want to install this one thing, and the computer's smart enough to go out and get all the other stuff it needs. And I think we're going to see an example of that coming up here. Because typically when I go to install some software on a computer these days in Linux, it'll say, well, in order to install this, I need to install these 30 other things, and it's going to take up this much space. Do you want to do that? You say yes. So let me scroll down here a bit. Okay, so one interesting thing with Yum is that they actually come with packages, right? And so let's go to the live example where I'm going to do a few of those. So if I do Yum list, here's all the packages that are installed. It's alive, right? So say if I wanted to find some specific ones, I wonder what's got Xorg, because Xorg is for graphics, and I have no graphics installed with this one. It installed, okay, well there's a lot of text live. Yeah. So you can see all the packages are installed. Here's the version down the middle, and then on the side it basically gives me what group these things are with. Let's try. Okay, so let's say I had a package that I wanted to install, but I wanted to know a little bit more about it. It'd be yum info, and then HTTP is the name of the Apache HTTP web server. And so it goes out and checks the repositories. So it tells me the name of the software, the version of it, the architecture, the size. I like the fact that it gives you a URL that you can go to, and it kind of gives you a short description of it. Excuse me. Oh. Now, if I wanted to install it, I would basically say yum install. I don't want to install this. I don't want to install this. Let's get a look here at some other stuff. Oh, okay, another thing, you can also get updates. You can update an individual package, or you can update all your packages just by telling it yum update. Let's see if I have any packages that need updating. So here it's, okay, I've got these 2 packages that need updating. OpenSSL, well, that's a good one to update. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to install it, hit enter. And I think if I were to put in an argument of -y, it would automatically download and install it. Here it's asking me to verify, excuse me. Preparing, upgrading, cleaning it up afterwards, and verifying that it installed correctly and those 2 packages are installed. Pretty cool, huh? So I'm going to show you, try to install a program that's kind of fun. Program called Calce, and I'm not sure if this will install or not. Yeah, I couldn't find it. Let's try this one. Yeah, not all these cool programs. So SL is basically a little program that runs a little train across your screen, and it's for when you mistype LS for listing. Calce is a program where it'll like put a little cow on the screen and have it say something. But those programs, let's try. This may not be there either. I don't know. Let's see. No. All right. Well, shoot. I'm scrolling through here looking for some fun stuff. Try one more. And it's not there either. All right, but that's how you would go about installing stuff if those were available to us, but they're not available to me right now. So another cool thing is that Linux actually groups collections of programs together. Or, I'm sorry, the Red Hat family of Linux distributions groups things together. So you can see here we've got these available environmental groups. So I could do minimal install workstation. I've actually installed this as a server. Yeah, installed environment is a server. If I were to install a workstation, it would basically give me like a GUI so I could click around on things. There's also headless tools or headless management, which basically means it's going to be plugged in without a server, and you're going to typically be accessing it remotely. There's development tools, graphical administration tools, network servers. Let's take a look at that one. And so to get information about this, let's take a look at the network servers. And so when I take a look at this, it tells me, okay, it would run DHCP server, a Radius server, Kerberos server, syslog server. Wow, so it would run quite a bit. So I could install all of these just by saying yum install and then the name, or yum group install and then the name of the group. I also wanted to take a quick peek at the security tools. Let's take a quick look at that one. Okay, so it gives you an example of what all it would install. I only know what about some of those are, so I'm not going to bother installing that. So let me clear this out. But they make it handy for you to install entire families of packages together. You can also do yum history. Let's see if it has all the mess that I've tried to do tonight. Oh, update was the actual only real thing it did. All those other ones that said either I was just looking for info, or I was just it was telling me it couldn't install packages because it didn't know what they were. You can also use the history to go back and undo things. You can undo them back 3 or 4. So let's say you installed something and that was a total mistake. You can go back and completely undo that with yum. Now, I'm going to try to speed this up because I got something coming here shortly. Now, where this computer knows how to download things from is from the repository list. And to get a list of your repositories, oh, I did not spell repo list wrong. There we go. So here's all the repositories that I've got. I've got a handful of them disabled, just a few of them enabled. This is mostly because I did a minimal server install on this with no GUI. So if I was to have a GUI, you'd see some of these other things were kind of turned on or plugged in. You can also add your own repository. So if there's some other software that isn't folded into the CentOS or Red Hat or CentOS group, you can add repositories, and they kind of walk you through adding a repository to your repo list. And I believe you can find that repo list in etc yum repos .d. And so here you can see basically each one of these is the repository name, right? These files. And so let's take a quick look at one of them that looks kind of smaller. We'll just do let's take a look at the AppStream repo. So basically, here's the repositories. You can see it comes with a certificate, an encryption certificate. And that's just basically so that you can make sure that the repository you're talking to is really the one you're talking to. There's been actual hacks where people have kind of made themselves look like a repository, and then the people go to download updates, and they actually ended up downloading a poisoned update or a poisoned piece of software. So you could the book walks you through the commands for adding repositories to this. Typically, that's when I go to add software and it's on a repository that's not already on my computer. They have steps on the website, and here's how to add our software. And the good thing with doing that is that anytime a third party puts out an update to its software, and you've added that software to your repository list, when you go to update things, that update is automatically added to all the other updates for your operating system. So it's pretty sweet. And okay, they do this other thing that's kind of new to me called application streams. And that's basically so that you can get multiple or different versions of the same software. If you're used to, these days in software development, there's all these packages and libraries that are out there that are at different levels. And sometimes if you have one version of, say Python that you're writing with, and that version of Python relies on one particular version of a certain library, you might need the application stream to make sure that you're getting just that one group. Excuse me. And so Red Hat packages a bunch of these together. And we kind of looked at these, the Yum module list here. This basically has all these different modules that I could get. Now you can see here we got PHP, we got 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4. We've got all these different versions of Perl, Node.js, Nginx, and each one of these really might, so for example, let's say I wrote an application that only runs, it uses the features from 1.14 Nginx. And then, so I want to make sure I get that, not 1.16. You can also go back and swap out versions. Like let's say you want to, you got your app running on 1.14, but maybe you want to make sure it's working on the new version, so you could use these modules to switch over to 1.18 and try it out. And the book kind of has you walking through some of those. And that, guys, is pretty much all of chapter 14. If you need any help at all, make sure you reach out. I've been working a ton with Linux lately, so I feel like my skills are actually a little bit better with that. So, hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you're enjoying the weather. I hope the tennis team is doing well. And that's all for me. Thanks, guys.